Welcome back to the Skylanders Spyro's Adventure developer commentary. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you to the toy and character director, I-Wei Huang. Thank you very much for agreeing to do this.
Oh, no problem. I'm glad to do it. I'm glad that people are so interested.
It's just been amazing to hear what you've all got to say, and learning a lot of little tidbits about the like the little intricate things I would have never have even guessed. You know, it's just like, oh yes, this is brilliant. People are gonna love it. So,
Great.
So what was your position during development?
I was the toy and character director.
And what exactly does that entail?
It means I started, in the very beginning, as basically a concept artist and a modeler. So I would design the characters, I would draw them, and then model the characters. And then early on, we were making prototypes. Having to kind of show this crazy idea. We knew that we needed to make these toys, right? So I was hand sculpting them. We had a little production line at the office, and you've been to the office, that whole kitchen counter, as it was taken over by me for a while, because I was making molds and all kinds of stuff and hand painting, little bits and pieces. So I kind of got involved in the toy production early on, or the toy prototyping. So they were kind of hand sculpted from Sculpey, and then casted, making molds and casting and painting and stuff like that. So kind of, and then over time, I kind of just became the character guy. So I kind of started the style of the characters. Some of the first characters kind of helped cemented the look of what we wanted to do. And so, over the years, I became more and more involved on the toy side. So it means, worrying about exactly how the toy is constructed, how many parts, how does it get made, dealing with a factory, dealing with the paint jobs, and just a lot of intricate little things involved with that. So I was kind of own that part of it. So all that is just to say, I'm involved with the toys. I got to draw the characters, and then kind of oversee the entire way, through the toy line, so that when you get the toy, when you see the toy on the shelves, I have a lot to do with that.
That's awesome. So was it just the Skylanders you were involved in, or did you also design some of the original art for the other characters?
So I in the first game, I pretty much did all the characters. I designed all the characters, including, I think there might have been a couple characters that I didn't do that made it into the game, but all the NPCs, even a lot of the little ambient creatures, there's these flying centipede-looking things around and stuff like that. So I got to do basically anything that has to do with characters that kind of help design.
That's awesome. And with the concept art, was it just 2D hand-drawn or 3D or?
Yeah, so it starts out with 2D. So I draw mostly on the computer, just kind of sketch it out and then render it. And then like I said, I think in the first game, because we were developing, Toys for Bob was developing for the Wii at that point, and then we kind of outsourced to the other platforms. Because it was the Wii, it was really easy and fast to model, so I had modeled pretty much all the characters for the first game.
Did you design toys before working on Skylanders, or was this your first time?
No, it was my first time. We kind of laugh about it because it was I guess we were kind of just ignorant to everything. It's we know how to make characters, we know how to make games, and we'll just make some toys. That'll be easy. It was just kind of just figure how hard can it be to make toys, right? So it became quite a learning curve. I think in the first game, it was a crash course, and by the second or third or fourth games, I felt like we kind of got really good at the toy making process. But yeah, no, I was not. I was always tinkering with stuff, and that's kind of what Robert and I we sat next to each other. We're always tinkering with stuff. He always had like kind of interest in electronics. On the side, I made. I was known for making steam powered robots, like actual working robots and stuff. So I always kind of tinker with my hands quite a bit and like to do things outside of like digital stuff, just for fun. So, but no, like as far as a career goes, I've been in the game industry for over 20 years now, and probably half of that had been an animator. But back then, like in the early days, when you're an animator, it means you're modeling and rigging and probably doing some concept art as well. So I kind of did a whole bunch of stuff. But when I got to Skylanders, especially after the first game, there was so much work to do that I became just a concept artist and kind of involved with the toys.
That's really cool, but you had to sort of change quite a lot of what you were doing. Did you ultimately have to scrap any of the toys or characters?
Oh yeah, there was definitely quite a few that we tried and just didn't work for various reasons. Either there were some that were legal reasons, where the legal team thought that it looked too much like some other property, characters or whatever. There's other ones that are more kind of, we just couldn't make the toy, like there's too many parts, or it's just physically we're not able to do it, so there's definitely a lot of things that are scrapped. But as kind of time went on, we kind of, or I got better at it. But you, as a concept artist, you kind of hope to catch all those issues early on, so you're not in production of anything, right? Like you draw like 10 pages of characters just to get to one character, right? So that you're hopefully all those issues are a non-issue. So as I'm drawing, I am thinking about the toy end of it. Like that was one of my big philosophies for while I'm working on Skylanders, is I'm drawing these characters, but I'm mainly thinking about them from the toy perspective, like what would look really cool. Like it just imagine a kid, you go to a toy store, like what would make you beg your mom, like I need that, can I have that, I'll do anything for that, what is that, right? Like, so I'm always imagining these toys as like on the shelf, like what would be really cool to see.
Yeah. Were there any characters you had to ultimately scrap and you just really didn't want to, you sort of wanted to fight for it?
I think there were a few like that. I designed like an elephant-like character that I really liked. It just never, didn't resonate with some people. They just thought that elephants weren't cool, but I made like this elephant warrior kind of thing. There's quite a few things like that. But more it's more the case that like characters change. They kind of change over time, and it's not where I started, but end up being a better, choice. Like, for example, like Ninjini started out, like, when I first drew her, like, a lot of people thought that she was a little too Barbie-like, So I kind of toughened her up over time. And the whole thing about her was, like, yeah, she's a genie, but, like, she owns her own bottle, right? Like, it's a really powerful thing. She's got her bottle on her back. So stuff like that I felt like the end result was a way better thing than where I started out, designing. So I don't think I have any like big regrets of like, oh my god, if this character if it made it, kind of a thing. I really enjoy all the characters that did come out, and there's some that are surprising. There's like, I don't know, didn't think it was that cool of a character, and then all of a sudden it was like really, did really well on the on the market, or people really loved it, kind of thing.
I'm glad you chose Ninjini to talk about, because I love Ninjini. It's an awesome Skylander.
It's one of those things, like I would design the character, and then we get into toy production. The poor design team, game designers, they just kind of get the character and they have to figure out something for it. And I'm pretty hands off. I was like, those game designers know what they're doing. I'm not going to go over and tell them, oh, she needs to do A, B, and C, and her secondary attack is this, and there's blah blah blah. I don't do any of that. It's like hands off. Same thing with animation, whatever. As soon as I'm done with it, I'm like, okay, this is your baby. You take it. You make it great. And she was a perfect example of that. It's like, oh, that's brilliant. Actually, using the bottle. Like I didn't even think that. Deep into. I just thought it would be cool if she had, a bottle that's like she's the master of her own bottle, right? But the game designers really took it to a different level of like she actually got into the bottle. It's like, oh, that's great. So I get that really great feeling when I actually get to finally play the game and see all these characters in action. I see how they move and how all their powers and stuff. It's quite exciting to see the creativity there.
Were there any Skylanders that were initially scrapped and then put into one of the sequels?
Yeah, I don't know if scraps is the right word, but one of my favorite characters that I designed was oh god, I don't even remember his name because we have these internal names, right? The T-Rex with the helicopter.
Oh yes.
Is it Choppers? Is that
I think name? So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, we come up with different names and then, through production and then, so we kind of know it as a certain name. There's we named it, the file name is called something and then, so it takes a while to remember what the final name was. So Choppers was a good example of, one of the designers, came to me and said, hey, what about a big dinosaur like a T-Rex with guns? It's like, oh, okay. And that was back in Giants, and so I did some drawings of a giant T-Rex with guns as like a giant toy, right? But just imagine there's a lot of constraint with toys, right? So it has to fit in physically in a certain dimension box, right? And so like if you imagine a T-Rex, it's kind of hard to fit in the box no matter what kind of pose you put them, right? Because they have long tails, they're too like horizontal, right? Where most of our characters, our boxes are pretty vertical. And so I drew a bunch of drawings and then just didn't quite work out and just like, scrap it. We'll do something else for all these giants. So when it came to Trap Team, I kind of brought them back. It's like, okay, tell me to think about. I'm a dinosaur freak. I love dinosaurs, and my kids at the time were really into dinosaurs. So I just started drawing a T-Rex, and because of the issue with the giants needing to kind of fit in the box, I made a small version of that, and I just kind of compress everything as compact as possible. So it gets tiny, like really nubby little tails and giant head and like the whole thing was very chunky. So that kind of went through this iteration process where, it didn't get like rejected and then brought back. It's just, it didn't quite work. And then over time I was able to kind of get it to a cool package.
You mentioned that the Skylanders originally had sort of code names or obviously not the same names that they ended up in the game. Were there any weird or funny code names for any of the Skylanders?
No, I mean, I think they're just more like generic name. I don't even remember. I don't even remember. Like there's some names that like stuck. Like I think Stealth Elf just always stuck with Stealth Elf because it was just like it's just kind of a generic name, right? I think maybe Eruptor did too. I don't even remember his name now. There in Trap Team, there's a kind of Egyptian-looking guy, like armored guy, and I just call him Chop Chop Daddy because he kind of looks like Chop Chop, just kind of a mega version of him. And sorry, I don't remember his name, his final name.
It's going to be a hard question. It's like choosing your baby. But what is your least favorite and favorite Skylander? Good luck.
Oh, wow. So probably the two most common questions I get is where do you get the ideas, and the second one is who's your favorite. And I guess when I was working on it, I always say I can't pick, kind of a thing, right? Because it is true, I just can't pick like you said, my favorite child. But I think with a bit of distance now that I can look back on it, I probably would say that Choppers, I think that's his name, the T-Rex. I think that's one that I still have him, kind of on my computer desk. Like he's the only one up there right now. Because just, I don't know, there's something about him that he shouldn't work, but he worked. Like he hits my sweet spot of being super chunky, and he's like one of the things that is important to me is that characters are very, very simple. Like there's, I don't want too many notes, like too many things to try to focus on. So he broke all the rules because he's got so many things. He's a T-Rex. He's got a helicopter. He's got missiles, and he's got mech legs. They're just like, it's way too many notes, but for some reason it works. So I would say he's probably my favorite character throughout the whole line, just because it's I don't know, personally he hits the sweet spot. And I was also say, like, there's a few character that also I'm very fond of that were like the first initial set of characters, because it kind of helped define the line. And for that was Stealth Elf was one of the very, very first characters. Trigger Happy was one of the very first ones. Actually, the Chompies was probably the very, very first one I drew. Just, I don't know, if you look at the Chompies and Trigger Happy, they're actually very, very similar, like size and proportions, Chop Chop was one of the first, Eruptor was one of the first. So it's like that set of characters. There's a few more, but like it really helped define the rest of the line. So like those characters I think are some of my favorites. And then my least favorite, that's an interesting one. That's something I've never been asked before. I think I don't know if there's a least favorite, but there's things that I felt like it was like, I don't know, didn't quite resonate with me or a lot of people. I think Boomer's one of them, and like Dino Ring, is that his final name? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So those two characters, I think they didn't do too well, and that actually helped inform me a lot on what to do on ongoing future characters from that point on, because they didn't sell well. It didn't seem like they resonated with the fan base or anything either. So with Boomer especially, I think at that point I kind of realized, okay, there's a formula for this thing, and he's not quite in there. So I kind of took that as if you look at the entire line at that point, he's one of both of them actually are more of they're more on the ugly side, I guess. And there might be Boomer kind of feels a bit old, kind of a thing. So I think, even though they didn't do as well, and I'm not really proud of their design, I I thought they were really important because it kind of helped inform me to figure out more of what the audience wanted.
You said that characters like Stealth Elf and Eruptor and whatnot were some of the earliest designed characters. Is that why they're more prominent in the cutscenes for the game?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really, like I said, I'm only responsible or involved in the very beginning of like drawing characters. I'm not sure who picked them to be the cutscene characters and stuff like that. I know some of those characters kind of are popular because of they've been in every iteration of the game. Like like there's toys for each. There's like different generations of toys, right, for them, and some of them don't make it into a future generation. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess they just kind of resonated with the team and the fan base. So they kind of got put in that situation, but it wasn't because of me. I wasn't involved in picking those guys.
Going forward to Trap Team, did you have a hand in coming up with the many bosses in that game?
Yeah. So Sort of. The answer is yes, but by the time we got into Trap Team, there was so much work involved that I hired help. So by Trap Team, I finally have 2 other concept artists that I was working with and designing characters, and so they were mostly involved in the non-player characters, the non-toy characters. So I was doing all the toy stuff. I was kind of helping them get the style down for the enemies and the bosses and stuff. So we would lock ourselves in the room and just like draw together and just kind of spitballing different ideas and come up with different things. So I was involved in that. There was a lot of characters that were more, these other 2 artists than me. It was Jeff Murchie and Blake Lyons, the 2 concept artists. I would say some of the characters are more them than me, and other characters are more me than them. But in general, it was I was training them up to be able to start making Skylanders as well. But so they were really involved. So I guess it depends on which character you're thinking about.
Just any of the bosses generally. Yeah. With Spyro, because obviously Spyro is a big part of the game, was his new design always the plan, or did he originally look like his classic design, or maybe Legend of Spyro design?
It's interesting. So the real story, I hope this gets out there. I don't know if it'll get censored. So the whole story really is that, so Activision came to us after we finish a game and it's like getting to the next one, and one of the things like they wanted is like, well, we have this Spyro franchise, so can you guys think about doing something with that? And then the other thing that they kind of gave us was like, okay, well, at that time, like the Wii peripherals was really hot, the Wii Fit boards and the skateboards and all kinds of stuff, right? And so they were like, think about peripherals too, because that's big right now. So those are kind of our tasks, right? So we went back and started thinking about these crazy ideas. At one point, I was drawing, Spyro in like a more mature kind of a realm, and doing different things with Spyro. But once we started thinking about toys, I kind of roughly made a version of Spyro, but then I started making all these other characters, and then so we started making the game and started putting it all together. And so at one point it was like, well, this isn't, I don't know, Spyro doesn't have to be in here, right? In fact, we changed Spyro in the game so it's not even a purple dragon, because we were like, I don't know this, if we want to tie Spyro into this, because at the time, I think Activision thought this was going to be a huge thing, and they thought maybe this is bigger than Spyro, maybe, for whatever reasons. So we started making that, and then I think the last minute they realized that they do want to keep Spyro in, and so we started making it more kind of to fit the whole Spyro universe. But by then, the Spyro had already kind of been set in stone, right? Like we already started making toys of this dragon and stuff. So that's kind of how it all worked out.
So because it sort of evolved beyond Spyro, did you consider bringing other characters from the Spyro universe into the game outside of Spyro and Cinder, or nah?
Yeah, no, we did. We took. I don't think we ended up using his real name, but like Moneybags was in there.
Yes.
But we changed his name to something else for whatever reason. I mean, this is beyond my pay grade, and I wasn't involved in it. I remember, like actually doing Moneybags, and then learning later that they changed the name to something else, so it's not Moneybags. I don't know. So there was stuff like that. But yeah, it wasn't. I think we were tasked to do a Spyro kind of a thing. We took it into this new direction that was bigger, and we started building this new world. And then we kind of go, okay, well, it is Spyro, so we're gonna kind of add some of that stuff back in. So he ended up being in the first game was, Spyro's Adventure. And then from then on, like, he wasn't as big of a part in it because I think, it became this huge thing where, having a huge cast of characters is cool.
What was your favorite part of development?
Wow, that's an interesting question. Yeah, you guys, that's a great question. You got some really great questions. Let's see. I guess there's a few different areas. One is just drawing, like just be able to just go, okay, well, I'm just gonna sit here and sketch, come up with cool characters. That's already like a crazy dream job, right? Like just whatever comes to your head, you just, it comes with a lot of pressure, obviously, but also it was a huge reward. So that's definitely one of the most enjoyable part of it. The other part is just having toys, right? Like actually having something physical, because you spend all the years working in video games, you don't touch anything. You're touching a keyboard and a mouse, and even drawing, like, nowadays it's all digital, right? You're drawing with a stylus. So having something physical, tactile to look at and play with is pretty amazing. And I think that's why it really helps when I'm designing characters. It's all about tactile feel. Sometimes, like if you look at what's his name, Food Fight, right? Like that kind of thing, or Bash, which is called Rock Dragon, is the internal name. Bash was like those characters, like you just want to touch them, right? If it's sitting on a table and you just go, oh, that's cool, you want to just pick it up and you want to touch the spiky little bits, right? So the tactile thing is really important to me. So like being able to like 3D print, in the office and like make adjustments and stuff like that. That was really great. Another great part was just working with Robert. It was really cool coming up with innovations and stuff, because he's kind of a mad scientist. I thought I was a mad scientist until we started working together, and then it's like, nope, he's the mad scientist. So he comes up with crazy technologies, and I was just trying to figure out how to use it, like the whole light core thing, which was magic, just blew my mind the first time he showed me, and then instantly I was trying to drill holes on all the toys to stick in every toy possible. And that's I don't know if Robert, kind of told you this, but like we had this thing where Prison Break is the MVP of Skylanders.
Yes.
He did tell you.
Okay, yeah, I've got it on my desk actually. It just is no, the light cores were amazing, because I just like, I had some of the Skylanders, and then I think I got sent a light core, just like, oh, let's see how this works. Woo! It's so cool! Like that's it's like it's every kid's dream. It's just like, oh my god, my toy is it's coming to life in the game, but now it's alive on my desk right here.
Right. So imagine like you sitting next to Robert, and then he just kind of casually, just one day, is like, I think we can get some energy from this, blah, blah, blah. He's talking like some other language, right? And then like, a little bit later, he's like solder some stuff together, and he's like, here, check this out. And it's just like, he was like, what the hell? And like, how does this even work? And it's just fun to play with. And instantly I'm drilling holes in every single toy that I can find to like fit it in. And we're trying to design this and that. And then just like, wait, we got Prison Break. This is like perfect little crystal thing, and it lit up perfectly. And then later we use them for trap team. The trap crystals is like, it's Prison Break's arms. If you look at it, it's like the same, size and everything, because I sat there and cut the bits off, and we're putting little tags in there and stuff like that. So it was pretty amazing.
I mean, it's a wonderful shape of the crystals anyway. So it's just like, yes,
pretty simple.
Perfect.
Yeah, we experimented with a whole lot of different other things, and then just kind of came back to, now this was the best thing. We had little pedestals and with things on it, and we different ways of, like, we had like different trap things, like they actually looked like a physical cage, and a lot of different designs, and then we kind of just all came back to no, crystal is really the coolest thing.
What would you say is the weirdest thing that ever happened during development?
Weirdest thing? I can tell you the saddest thing.
Oh boy. Okay.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm really can tell you. I guess I'll tell you, and then you can check and to see if we can use this
Yeah,
little clip.
I have to send it all to Activision. So
yeah. Well, I'll just tell you. So we have all these Make-A-Wish different things, and it's great. Like we work with kids and do all this kind of stuff, and then so one day we kind of we got a really tough email one day, and it was a little kid who was sick, and his favorite thing in the world is Skylanders, right? I'm gonna tear up just talking about this. So Activision really wanted to do something really special for him. So I drew this big. We had this giant printer at work, right? And so I'm not gonna say his name, but like I wrote his name because I was thinking about like what would a little kid want, or like what was really important to me when I was little, and I was like, I used to write my name, everywhere, and then just like so I wrote his name really big, and then I just drew all the characters and put them in his name so it looks like it, and it's just like it was great. Like, and then we print out on this giant printer we had at work, roll it up and send it to him. And they presented to him with a bunch of gifts and stuff. They actually had a mascot of, what's his name, Gilgrunt, a mascot, cosplay kind of a thing that they had go over there, and it was a really special thing to give to this kid, and we saw some pictures of it and stuff, and so that was really sweet. I was just like, oh, that's the least we can do for this poor little kid. And then cut to, I don't know, a few months later or something, we get an email and the kid passed away. And this is part I'm gonna cry right here. So the part that is really hard is we got some pictures and the parents were thanking us for what we've done, right? And there was a picture of his coffin, and it had all the Skylanders on it, and the drawing that I did for him with his name on it, and it's a tiny little coffin,
It's genuinely heartbreaking when something like that happens, but there's also, it's really quite amazing how the kid truly loved Skylanders and derived so much joy from it, and then that all of you were able to bring him so much joy as well, through not just obviously the wonderful gift you gave him, but also the many hours of playtime with the toys, not just the game. That's what's so special about Skylanders. It's
right.
It's not. I mean, there's a game there, and the game is wonderful. But I remember as a kid having my little having these little things that. We were a rich family, so I didn't have too many toys immediately. It was like we had little chains and these little toy skeleton things, really cheap little skeletons. I can create a little world here with this chain and this and these little artifacts. So that was small little cheap jewelry that my mum had. She's these are things that I can use now, and these are magical items. That's exactly what Skylanders can do. Just there's the world within the game, but you as a kid you can create your own world right at your home. It's such a diverse set of characters, and it's just perfect for any kid. I love that kind of thing. So thank you.
Well, I think hats off to Activision. They did really something special for this kid, and went out of their way, and to just prove that Activision isn't evil. It's like they never said anything about it. It's never on the radar. This is the first time that this gets out there, that this will be the first time that someone talked about it. And I'm not using his name or anything, right? It's just but it's something that many years have passed now, and I still think about that kid once in a while. It's just I have 2 kids, and it's really heartbreaking, But to turn to a brighter note, let me just say that one of the most rewarding things for me is that interaction of not only every kid has the thing that they're into, right? And for a lot of kids, it's Skylanders, and it's great. Like, I've met a lot of kids that are like walking encyclopedias of Skylanders, right? But the thing that's really rewarding to me is hearing, having parents, like dads and moms, come up to me and say, "Oh, thank you for making this thing that we can all now for the first time play together." Right? Because the dad or the mom is into this, more adult games, and they're playing WoW or playing Call of Duty or whatever, and the kid's playing something else that they're not interested in. But Skylander was something that they could brought them together and enjoy, video games. And so that was really special for us. That I guess we always wanted to make something that both adults and kids can enjoy, But I guess I never really put it together that, oh yeah, this could be a family thing.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it certainly is something that both kids and adults enjoy. Like, I mentioned the kid thing, but I don't necessarily play with toys anymore, but I love collecting figures of my favorite characters from games, and now the Skylanders. Like, I got a massive section on my shelf, just like, here's Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3. Here's all the elements. Here, it's just like, yes. Gorgeous.
I know. People think we do get a set of toys from Activision, for obviously working on the game, but there's still many of us are collectors, including me. Is like, oh well, I got a free set of toys, but I wanted to open up a set for my kids, and so I got to go out and buy some. And it's not like I can just go order some from Activision, whatever. It's like, no, I'm going out to Toys R Us and Walmart and Target, different stores, looking for them just like everyone else. And that's actually been really fun. And just talking about that with parents, I was like, oh yeah, I called these stores, and by the time I got there, it was all gone, and blah blah blah. It's like, oh yeah, and then I'll tell them my story. It's like, oh yeah, I did the same thing. They said they will hold it for me, but then it was all gone, and there was all that kind of stuff. So I kind of got firsthand experience of what it's like to actually have a wanting a collection, but also wanting to collect with your kid, driving to different places looking for them.
So what have you worked on since Skylanders?
Well, I was at right after Skylanders, we worked on a bunch of stuff, and one of them was a reignited trilogy kind of stuff. So I did that, and then now I'm at Roblox.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
So was it concept art with Reignited?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I've actually seen a lot of the concept art you would have done then.
Probably. I mean, I think we had a lot of different concept artists on that project. So I don't, some of the most beautiful, we had some really amazing guys, and some of the most beautiful ones were, I just say it's not mine. There's some amazing art there. So they did a great job. But yeah, you might have seen some of mine.
I went to the Toys for Bob offices last year, so I got to see a huge wall of just concept art for all the games and all the characters and the levels. Just oh, these look awesome!
Yeah, yeah. So I have to tell your audience that's listening to this that I told you this story when you came to visit, but I want your audience to know this, which is. You're the first person that started streaming all this playthrough stuff, right? And so one of the guys, Toby at work, he's the lead designer there, passed this email around, hey, check it out, someone started to play this. This is just right when it came out, right? We didn't know. Been working on it for 2.5 years at that point or something. Finally got released. Didn't know how the public was going to handle it. If they like it, but they thought it was the stupidest idea ever. And so it was really nice to start watching your videos, and I think you were kind of a skeptic at first, and then just see you turn around, it's you're starting having fun, and then pretty soon you're running out to go buy toys, So that was really exciting for me, and so we roll off of the first game right into the second game. So we already started working on the second game when your video started showing up. So I was sitting there drawing, trying to come up with like, what the heck is a giant? Like kind of thing, like trying to figure out all that stuff and listening to you while you're playing and laughing my ass off as I'm listening to you. So thank you for the entertainment and also to kind of be a promoter of Skylanders, and you're like, you can truly tell that you're real. Like your enthusiasm was real and it was contagious and it was great. It was great. Felt like you were a cheerleader for us while we're like working extra hard trying to push out the second game. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I'm just a guy playing a game. You and the rest of the team of the heroes here, creating such an incredible world that people like myself weren't necessarily completely into. I mean, I originally bought it because it was like, oh, it's Spyro. I love Spyro. I'll see what it's like. And yeah, you pulled me into the world, and I loved it immediately. And it's not easy to make a game that can do that. I've seen many games fall short of that, where it's like, okay, there's a great idea here, but it's not executed. But what you all managed to do was create a truly wonderful experience. And I, as I say, I fell in love with that, and now I have hundreds of toys. So, I think you all did something pretty right.
Well, that's great to hear. Thank you so much. It was, Robert and I used to talk about this all the time. Like, the stars were just aligned. For some reason, we just had the right people at the right time with the right talents. Like, I think if Activision has said, here's the idea, make toys to life kind of a thing, and go. I think if they knew how big it was going to be, it wouldn't have worked. I think they would have focus test this, would have hired some toy designers to do this work, and some electric engineers to actually do the prototyping, instead of just Robert and I saying they're just messing with stuff and coming up with things, and the rest of the design team. I mean, Toys for Bob luckily were pros at making kids games, right? And like we had a really strong team on the design side, on the art side, and programming side. Like, it was a well-oiled machine for making that kind of a thing. And so like everything just all lined up. We just happened to have all the right pieces, and it just kind of all fit together like a jigsaw puzzle, and it was like, great, I think we made this great thing. But it wasn't until it actually came out that we had confirmation that we actually did do something pretty great, because we were like, Activision had like big ideas on how much like marketing they want to put in and what they were expecting to kind of how this was going to perform and all that kind of stuff, right? And we thought like, oh crap, how are we going to ever make those numbers? Like, that's crazy. Like, that's a lot of toys, that's a lot of games and all that kind of stuff. But luckily for us, they actually way underestimated everything. And I know there's like a lot of rumors at the time, like, oh, Activision's evil. They're not making enough toys so that demand goes up. So supplies is like they purposely did this and that. It's like, nope, we just totally did not, count to account that people were going to be this much into it, and that we just couldn't make toys fast enough at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a quick process. You can't just snap your fingers on, oh, there's 100,000 toys.
Right. Well, you could with software, right? Like, especially just downloading software, you could any number you want, right? But with toys, like, it physically gets made, and it's put on a container ship, and shipped over here, and everything has to be accounted for. And it takes months and months and months. We had to get the toy stuff done way ahead of time, way before the game is made and shipped.
How far in advance was that?
Oh, it was a lot. I think we pretty much had to be wrapped up by like around Chinese New Year time, and then so then it was shipped in October.
Oh, Fair enough.
So it was many months.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like getting all the prototyping stuff done, and they you know, so some of the characters were done like, you know, like in the fall the year before, and they started producing them, and so it just takes time, right, to make. I mean, the toys are, you know, there's a lot of parts that get glued together, they get painted, they get tested, they put in the package and put it on the boat, put the container ship. You know, the package, if you think about it, the package actually fits perfectly in the container boat. I mean, that's how we determine the size of toys and everything, and the packaging, you know, the blister pack size. It's like those dimensions totally fit just right in the container ship, you know, box. So yeah, it takes a long time.
I guess final question, do you have any advice for upcoming artists looking to get into the industry?
Well, I started a long time ago, you know, so I I didn't start out as being a concept artist. I started as an animator. I guess I would say that the field is pretty competitive. Like, there's a lot of people wanting to do it. So you have to commit yourself to be really good at whatever, you know, you do. I'll speak to more on the concept side, because that's kind of mainly what I do nowadays. I would say if you like drawing characters, or just like drawing and you want to draw for video games, you have to have your fundamentals down, right? Your perspectives, anatomy, and all that. You have to be. That's just miles. You just have to do tons and tons of work there until you get really, really good at it. But once you have those down, I think having your own voice is really hard to do. It's really hard to find. Like, you start out just copying everything else, and but eventually you kind of come up with a style. So when you're looking at a portfolio, when I was hiring concept artists, you know, you look at portfolios and a lot of them come through and just like, this is great, this is great, this is great. But it all looks the same. Like, this portfolio and that one and that one and that one clearly all came from the same school. They all have the same style, and there wasn't anything that stood out. They were just all kind of equal. So I think finding that special something that, and it's probably just something, just kind of skew it so that it stands out, like whatever that is. And most of that, I would say, isn't the skill part. It's not like how well you can render something. It's like, oh, that's a great idea for a character, kind of thing. So I think finding your style and your voice is something you should think about a lot more than just trying to copy someone else's portfolio because that's what you think you could get a job. So I guess it's a lot like music, right? You can either copy a whole bunch of other people, or you really work on coming up with something unique, and hopefully that's something that the studio will want.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure and an honor speaking to you. Thank you very much for joining me. It's so wonderful hearing about the industry and what good it does from all sides, you know,
right.
And more people need to know. So thank you.
Well, I'm glad you're doing this so many years after. You know, it's kind of you know, it's old history now, but I'm glad that some people are still interested in finding out more about how everything worked. You know, and I'm glad that I could help. Hopefully, this will get out there, but help kind of shed some of the insights that, you know, maybe when we were working on the game I couldn't really talk about, but now I feel like well, it's probably not a big deal to talk about some of these things. So
yeah, I mean, like I could do a series on any game, you know, like I could be like, oh, let's do it for this game or that game, but Skylanders is a very different sort of game for the industry. It's got many more parts to it, and it's and I think that the people who worked on Skylanders have been absolutely lovely, and you know, like, there's a lot of negative stigma about the industry at times, and I wanted to make sure that people learn that I mean, yeah, there's always going to be one or two bad apples, but the industry generally is lovely, and I'm proud to be part of the gaming industry because of that. So I'm glad that so many of you have agreed to talk and share your experiences and your stories, and yeah, it's just wonderful. Thank you.
That's great. I'm really really happy to do this, and yeah, if you want to do this again, just let me know anytime. I can talk about this all day long. So, or maybe we should ask your audience, like, if you wanna see more of this kind of stuff, more interviews like these, like thumbs up and comment.
Yes, indeed. Leave a like, subscribe.
Yeah, exactly.
Please support.
Yeah.
I must chill out now.